I'm Miss Lori, and welcome to Whippoorwill Holler, and welcome to our simple life. We love the simple way of living. We incorporate the old and the new. We love to garden. We love to preserve and can. We love to hunt and fish, to grow and produce, and to cook. I love the old ways of cooking, the old recipes, cooking from scratch, God's Word, healthy, sustainable, frugal, delicious. Whatever it pertains to keep our homestead running, this is what we've done all of our life. And we're here to share those skills with y'all. One of those skills is to be sustainable and to be able to put food on the table when groceries or times are rough, groceries are short. Don't depend on the grocery store. You can keep yourself fed. Cold sweet tea, Danny's old truck, an hour in the garden. This is what we love. So join us while we dance in the kitchen and while we bring you a new recipe, tomato casserole. So y'all join us. Well, let's talk about our ingredients for my tomato casserole. Simple ingredients, frugal, and if you've got a garden, you've got your survival garden going, your tomatoes are coming on, you can do this, and it's just delicious. We got salt and pepper. We've got, now these are pretty good sized tomatoes, and there are 4 of them. If they're about medium size, you may need about 5, 6 of them. But it's going to depend on how big a batch you're going to make. This is just me and Mr. Brown. We don't need a whole lot of it. So I may not even cut up all 4 of these. I'm going to see how many slices I get, maybe out of 3, and we'll go by that and see really what we come up with. So you need your salt and pepper, your tomatoes, and these are Cherokee purples, butter. I've got about 5, 6 slices of toast here, and I got some cheese, and I think there's about 2 cups there. Don't know that I'm going to need all of it. And one other thing that's delicious on this, but I wanted to make it as frugal as possible, is you could fry you up some bacon, or maybe you got some bacon left over from breakfast. And once this is done, just crumble that bacon up on top of it. It'd be delicious. I also have an 8x8 baking pan right here. If you're going to double this recipe, you may need to use a 9x13 or something like that. The first thing you want to do is you want to peel your tomatoes. Just get you a good tomato knife and just peel the skin off of them. And then we're going to slice them up. Now the way I'm going to slice these is I want to slice them in thick slices because I want my casserole to be meaty. I don't want thin slices of tomato. And I've got my 8x8 pan over here, and I've got it sprayed. I'm just going to start lining the bottom with some of my tomatoes. I went ahead and peeled 4 of them. These are so juicy. And, you know, some people would probably say, well, aren't you supposed to cut those and put salt on them, let them sit a while and let the juice. I want my juices in my casserole, so I'll salt it here in just a minute. Now this is a pretty thick piece, but that's okay. I'm going to put it here at the end. And you'll have places in the middle you might need to fill in with and I did core it. In fact, this end piece I'm going to cut. I'm going to put this one in. Ooh, these are so ripe and so juicy. Tomatoes are coming on, starting to come on. It's getting summertime for sure here in the hills of Arkansas. We've had some really, really hot weather for coming on pretty strong already. Now I'm going to go ahead and take just a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. Now you can season this any way you want to. You can make this more of an Italian taste. You can put you some Italian seasoning on here. You can put you a little bit of oregano or something like that. But I'm keeping this as simple as possible. I'm going to move my tomatoes for just a minute because I'm going to take my bread. And I got several. I got 6. Now this is a small bread. If you have the big Texas toast or something, you probably only need 4 or 5. And I'm just going to take these and cut them up just like if you were making croutons. You can cook these in your toaster. You can do this in the oven, whichever you want to. So I'm just cutting it up in squares. You know, this is one of them recipes that, you know, the main ingredient coming from your garden. And, you know, Granny or Mama always had a loaf of bread made and sitting on the table. You can even slice up some onions really thin and put in here. I've got caramelized onions that I canned, and that would be delicious in here too. Now, I can remember back in the day that most of our cheese come from, it was commodity cheese, and I bet some of y'all can remember that too. And I can remember going with Grandma and my aunt and standing in the line there at Ronan Springs to get our commodities. And one of the biggest things that we enjoyed was the cheese. It come in a big block. So I'm going to take some of my toast that I've cut up in squares, kind of like croutons, and I'm just going to put them over my tomatoes. You can put as much as you want or put as little as you want. I'm probably in just an 8x8. I'm just going to make 2 layers. See, this is something very versatile, and you can just, if you're feeding a big family, like I said, do a 9x13. Just make sure you toast up enough bread. You could use crackers. I'm going to finish cutting my bread before I finish up my tomatoes. This is a good thing too when you've got stale bread. Maybe you got just a few pieces left over and they're already getting stale. Because I can tell you, and those of y'all that make homemade bread goes stale pretty fast. And I've had people ask me, Miss Lori, how long does your fresh bread, you know, stay good? Well, the truth be known is that most of the time it gets ate so quick that, but there has been times that I've made it and nobody come over, you know, I didn't have company or the kids or grandkids didn't come over, so I would have some left over, and within about the 3rd day, you got to do something with it. So what I do anymore is I'll make a loaf of bread and I'll cut it in half and put 1/2 in the freezer. That way I'm not wasting any bread. But if I know the kids or somebody's coming over, I'll go ahead and I'll just go ahead and keep it out because I know they're going to eat it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take I'm going to put some butter on top of the bread. That might look like a lot of butter, but we know butter makes everything better. Then I'm going to come back and we're going to cut up the rest of these tomatoes. Big thick pieces. Put them on top. Now I've had, for several years, had people ask me recipe for tomato casserole this time of year or tomato pie. But I thought at this stage in our life and the way things are going that we do just a tomato casserole with the most simplest ingredients and stuff that you would have on hand, and the fact that it is a recipe that was made many, many years ago, because it's something that people had. They didn't have fancy ingredients. I do have herbs and basil, fresh basil and stuff out in the garden that I could put on here, but we're not going to do that today. I'm going to fill up my holes. I've got my oven preheating at 350. And I know there's lots of different recipes for tomato casserole out there. And I got my pan full. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put some more of my bread on top. And I'm just going to kind of push it in there in the crevices there. Now all this cheese that I've got, I won't be using it, all of it. But I'm not going to put it on till it cooks for about 30 minutes. And then I'll come back and put the cheese on top. I'm going to go ahead and salt and pepper this too before I forget. You got to have a little bit of salt and pepper on your tomatoes. Now I'm going to cut just a little bit more butter, put on top. I'll put this on a sheet pan and I'll take it out to I'm going to cook it outside in the outdoor oven, keep from heating the house up.
Well, I come in from work and you see what? I have to go put this in the oven. Well, not really. Boy, it looks good, don't it? I had to get on just a little bit of this though.
So I'm going to go ahead, and I just thought I'm going to throw some cornbread together. That's what I talked about a while ago, but I'm going to cheat just a little bit tonight. I'm using some self-rising cornmeal mix. I always keep this so that I can come in and throw some cornbread together pretty quick. I've got 1/4 cup of oil. I got 1½ cups of milk here, but I'm just going to put a cup for right now. I'm going to I like to put 2 eggs in my cornbread. Now if you like just a little bit of sugar in your cornbread, you can do that. Or you can put a little bit of sugar substitute in there. You can put a little bit of honey, which is good. And since this is self-rising cornmeal mix, I don't have to add any flour or any salt or anything like that because it's all in there. And I'm going to keep my cornbread just as simple, because any leftover cornbread that I have that we don't eat, sometimes Mr. Brown the next day will eat some in some milk, a glass of milk. But I'll put it in the freezer, and maybe one Sunday when I want to make some chicken and dressing, I just get that cornbread out and thaw it out, and I've got that much done for my dressing. So, there we go. It's that easy. I didn't need all my milk, so I'll put it back in the refrigerator. I'm going to heat my skillet up for my cornbread, and it'll go in the oven with our tomato casserole. I'm going to throw some aluminum foil over top of this for the next 15 minutes, just to keep the tomatoes and that bread from getting too hard on top, and before I put the cheese on it. Well, there's our tomato casserole right out of the oven. I like the way that the bread on top got toasted even more. And if you look down in there, there's still quite a bit of juice in there. Just gonna make it good. Let's get us some out of here and put it on our plate. Well, there it is, all plated up. And you can see all the different layers. Now you could have put more cheese even on top of that first layer if you like just lots and lots of cheese. But there is your tomato casserole. And like I said, there's so many things that you could put in there with it. But we were keeping it simple, keeping it frugal. So let's get us a slice of cornbread and let's try our tomato casserole. So what do you think about our frugal garden casserole there?
I tell you what it reminds me of, a grilled cheese tomato sandwich. What it reminds me of.
Well, I told him, you know, you could even put you some bacon here, you know, crispy bacon on top. Put you a little bit of onion in there. But I was trying to just do it with what ingredients somebody might have.
You can always doctor stuff up if you got things to doctor it up with, can't you?
Yes. It's really good.
Cherokee purple, right?
Mm-hmm. Eat it with that cornbread. You know, that's what, you can take a casserole and put just whatever ingredients and you can feed a family with it.
Oh, yeah.
But there is several different things you could add to that.
I believe you could maybe do that with cornbread, like you make a cornbread casserole. You do that way, or to get too mushy?
Well, there's a lot of juice in it.
Might get too mushy, huh?
It's good though.
Well, I can still dip my cornbread in it.
Yeah. It's a very, very old vintage recipe that, you know, back in the day, it's just something that you would feed your family because it was there, that's what you had.
I could see putting a little cottage cheese with that if you wanted to, too. Be kind of like a, what am I trying to think of? Lasagna?
Lasagna.
I could see a little cottage cheese with that right there. It reminds me of a...
Them tomatoes are really juicy too. They're really good. If y'all never made a tomato casserole,
I got cheese going everywhere.
y'all need to try this. And I do have, like I was talking about, recipes for tomato pie. That's a whole different thing. Tomato pie would have several different ingredients in it. Lots of cheese. Different ingredients. Of course, we're serving it with a piece of pork. Fresh pork.
Yummy.
But you can use this as a side on a lot of different dishes, that's for sure. Something else that'd be good with it would be okra.
Yeah, you could make, yeah. There's a lot you could put in that.
Mm-hmm. Or, you know, just serve it with okra. Fried okra.
But you just fixed it. If you didn't have a lot of ingredients in it, it's still pretty good.
It is. And I was telling them that, you know, the onions, when we canned up them caramelized onions, that would be, and you put bell peppers, just whatever you have out of the garden. That's what you can use. I've got a bunch of kale that I've been putting up, and kale would be good with it too. Make it a little bit healthy.
Healthier?
Healthier. Pork chops look like they're burnt, but they're not. They were cooked in the iron skillet. Makes them pretty brown.
They ain't burnt.
They ain't burnt, no. So much for our little cheap, out of the freezer, out of the garden, out of the pantry meal. It can be done, huh?
That's good.
For sure.
Good stuff.
We love Cherokee purple Cherokee purple
Cherokee purple
tomatoes. To me, they're just really a really juicy tomato. The one thing about them is, if you wait too late, they'll kind of go too ripe on you, won't they?
They'll get mushy.
So you have to pick them. When you look up there on top of that Cherokee purple tomato, and the very top's still going to look a little green around the top, but the rest of it's just really going to be ripe. You need to go ahead and pick it, because if you don't, it gets overripe. That's the only thing about them.
The top of it won't get fully ripe. If it gets fully ripe, then they're too ripe.
Yeah. Somebody commented on our video about us sharing a same glass of tea. Did you see that?
You know how many years we've been doing that?
We don't do it all the time, especially if one of us is sick. But I guess it's just a habit that I picked up, I guess. Because fixing everybody's plate and everything, and I'm all set down by Danny and not have my tea, and I would just start sipping on his, and I guess that's where it started.
You don't drink as much as I do. And when all this is over, that big glass of tea ends up wherever I'm at.
Wherever you're at. But that's okay, though. We've been slobbers for many years, ain't we?
I ain't scared.
Anyways, I hope y'all enjoy this recipe. Y'all start getting some tomatoes, or maybe if you don't have a garden, you can go to the farmer's market and find you some decent tomatoes and make you a tomato cobbler, tomato pie, whatever you want to call it. It's good stuff.
That cornbread good with that too, you know.
Cornbread's good with everything. So my next video, and the reason I'm going to go ahead and tell y'all, because y'all might want to do this with me. You know, groceries is getting higher, of course, and butter is getting ridiculous. Real butter in the stick. And so I'm going to start canning my butter. Canning butter it's not an approved method, but people have been doing it for more years than I've been alive. So I'm going to be doing that. And what I'm going to do, though, instead of just can the butter, I'm going to make ghee. And then I'm going to can my ghee. And it's going to be an easy process. It just takes a while to cook your butter down to get your ghee. And but it's going to be good stuff. It's going to be pantry stable, which means up to 5 years. Because I'll be canning it in the pressure canner. Now, there's some people that do water bath, and then there's some people that just do it with, and not even water bath it, and, you know, it'll just seal itself. But that's not the method that I prefer, so I will be pressure canning mine. If y'all want to do this with me, I'm going to be doing it in half-pint jars. You can do it in pint jars. I've been gathering up some more jelly jars to do my butter in. So that's what we're going to be doing. That's on my next video, because I've got to get butter put up, because butter that I buy from, let's see, it went from like $3.56 to $4.98. So it's getting pretty high. So I've got to start putting a bunch of it up. So if y'all want to do that with me, get your stuff together and meet me back here in my kitchen by the end of this week. I'm hoping to have it back up. I'm hoping to have it up by Friday afternoon. If not, well, I need to by Friday afternoon. If not, it'll be Saturday early, because we've got to leave on a trip. But I'm hoping to get it done and get it uploaded by Friday afternoon. That's my goal. You want some more of that?
And all I've been doing is eating while you're talking.
I know. My food's getting
People
cold.
like to watch me eat for some reason. They like to watch a man eat. I don't know.
They do. Because y'all just...
We eat like a hog.
Y'all enjoy your food.
Oh, me.
Is there anything you need to add to this?
Anything I need to add?
You've been digging up a few potatoes.
Potatoes are basically done, huh?
He's not went out there and just dug them all up. He goes out and just digs a few up every once in a while.
Digs up a mess.
We had some last night. Oh, good.
I dug some more this morning.
I seen that.
But before I went to work.
I've got squash and zucchini coming on. And we're fixing to go out and pick more green beans here in a minute.
Gotta go pick beans.
Ooh, it's going to be hot. We're waiting right before dark, but I'm telling you, it's still hot, ain't it?
Go out there and shoo the snakes off and pick beans.
Don't say that. We'll see y'all in a few days, guys. We love y'all. God bless. Y'all be careful and have a good rest of the week.